What's going on, Bulls fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bulls Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bulls related. I'm your host, Haize, and on today's episode, we're going to be discussing Kendall Brown and Walker Kessler, two draft prospects, as you guys have been asking me to cover for quite a while. We're getting into the nitty-gritty of our draft coverage here. We're finishing the first week of our draft coverage. I still have another about 13 prospects to bring you after bringing you about 10, a little bit over 10 prospects this week. We got another 13 prospects to cover, so we still got plenty of draft coverage coming over the next week or so here on Chicago Bulls Central. I also have a interesting theory after hearing that the Bulls will be having a workout with Josh Minton. We'll get into all that and more on today's Chicago Bulls Central.
You are now tuned in to Chicago Bulls Central, your number one place for all Chicago Bulls news and content.
All right, beautiful people. So, first off, before we get into our draft coverage for today, I do want to say the Bulls have scheduled an interview, or I should say workout session with Josh Minton. Now, this is interesting for a couple of different reasons. A, Josh Minton is not fully declared for this draft so far. He's not hired an agent as of yet, which means that he could still potentially go back to college. He is projected as a second-round pick, but as far as next year's mocks, he's already predicted to be well within the lottery. So it really just depends. Are the Bulls looking at this for more of a long-term project type thing? And this is one of the things that I'm going to get into. And why listen, I'm a conspiracy theorist. You guys know this who've been watching me for the longest here. I semi-think, and especially when you have a front office like AK and Eversley who really do their full due diligence and always almost pull off something unexpected. Are the Bulls looking to possibly acquire another second-round pick? Now, well, a second-round pick. And the reason why I say is that a possibility. Now, if the Bulls do acquire a second-round pick before the draft, they have to forfeit it. But as many of you guys know, if on draft day, if you make a trade on draft day, the teams that have those picks are technically the ones that draft the players, and the deals get officially locked in after the draft selections are made. So the Bulls very well could be, considering that they don't have a first-round pick next year, unless that Portland pick conveys, looking at acquiring a second-round pick and going high potential with that second-round pick to kind of supplement the fact of not having a first-round pick next year. Again, a conspiracy theory. For me, it's not anything locked in. It's not anything that I'm officially reporting on. It's just an interesting thought to have. As AK and Eversley have shown, they're always maneuvering. So it's a possibility, or this could be part of a larger trade. The fact that the Bulls, most of the people that we've heard and know that the Bulls have officially either interviewed or had workouts with, a lot of them are projected to be second-round picks. Now, that could just be AK and Eversley doing their due diligence. As we know, they are very thorough. Look, they didn't expect Io to fall, and then when he did fall to them, hey, they swooped him up really quick in that second round. So maybe this is just doing their full due diligence, but considering how much draft capital they have given up, and they're just really looking at every prospect so that they make sure that they get whoever they feel is the best possible pick for them at the number 18th pick. But don't be surprised if some draft maneuvering does go down, if they pull something crazy out from their sleeve and really do something surprising, not just in free agency, but also in the draft. Also, as far as that Portland pick, Portland has, at least by everything that's been communicated, they're planning on retooling completely around Dame Lillard and making another go and planning on being a playoff team next season. So that pick may very well convey next season, and the Bulls could have a pick that ranges anywhere from 16th down to about, I wouldn't say that we don't know how Portland's roster is going to work out, but I don't think they're going to be able to get into like the 28th range. So let's say it can range anywhere from about 15 to 25, which it almost doesn't matter because AK and Eversley, they can make any draft pick work. So, just a conspiracy theory for me. Let me know down below what you guys think. Do you think that this is some maneuvering from AK and Eversley when you hear them interviewing and working out people that are projected to be well behind where they're slated to draft? Do you think a move's coming? I want to hear from you guys. Sound off down below. But let's go ahead and get into our draft coverage for today's episode. And this is, listen, so yesterday we finished off our episode with Jeremy Sohan. And so we're going to start this one off with one of his teammates from Baylor, a guy that you guys have been asking me about a lot, and that is Kendall Brown. Now, Kendall Brown is a 6'7", 200-pound small forward / power forward. He does have an excellent wingspan at 6'11" for his position. And Kendall Brown, while not a player, if you look at his college stats, they don't pop out to you. He played 27 minutes per game in 34 games, had 9.7 points per game, had about 4.9 rebounds per game, almost 2 assists per game, and 1 steal per game, and less than a block per game. Some of his comps include Al-Farouq Amino and also Mo Harkness. Now, Mo Harkless, why do I want to put an N at the end of his name? Nonetheless, so Kendall Brown he's an elite athlete. Let's be clear here. Kendall, not just a great athlete. Kendall Brown has elite athleticism. Elite, and I don't use that word lightly. His explosiveness, he's one of the most explosive players you're going to find in this year's draft. He's a high-level athlete. He doesn't shoot the ball too well from outside, but around the rim, he shoots the ball about 78%. Now, he doesn't really create his own offense. Most of his buckets did come off assists. He's excellent in transition. Let me be clear here. Excellent as a weapon in transition. And when you look at how that could potentially fit on the Chicago Bulls, when you look at when we were at our best, we were getting in those pass lanes, going out and getting out in transition. What Lonzo Ball brought to this team in transition, what even Alex Caruso, Ayo Dosunmu, when we were playing at our best, brought in transition, they could really bring the best out of a Kendall Brown right now. And that would probably be his best, the one thing that he could bring the Bulls right now. Now, he does not project to be a plus defender. He plays the passing lanes pretty good himself, and he's a disturbance on defense. While not a lockdown defender by any means, he does get blown by sometimes because he doesn't have the best lateral quickness, but he also can get in those pass lanes and help get the Bulls out in transition and be a spark plug for the bench. If the Bulls were to select Kendall Brown, and he was able to get minutes right away, he would be an energy guy for us. When you look at like what we thought we were going to get from Alize Johnson, Kendall Brown projects to be able to bring that at a much better level because he's a smarter and higher IQ basketball player. He still does have his faults, and we're going to get into those faults. But in looking at how he would fit, at least initially, on the Chicago Bulls team, it's going to definitely be as an energy guy. Now, he's 19 years old. He just turned 19 this month, so he will be actually 19 his whole rookie season. If the Bulls were to select him, it would be less of a, hey, you can really give us something right now. Like I said, he could give us some things in transition, but it wouldn't be major. It wouldn't be like the impact that you can see a Mark Williams, EJ Liddell having right away for this team. But he would be a project for the Chicago Bulls. Now, the question has always been, and you guys have known, I've been very vocal on, I do think that the Bulls are going to more so look towards somebody who can contribute off their bench right now. But with that being said, spark plugs and energy guys are always needed as well. Depending on how they address the rest of this bench in free agency, I can see Kendall Brown getting a couple minutes for us. Again, he's gonna put on some weight. That 6'7", 200 pounds is a little bit concerning at the small forward / power forward position. Everybody over the course of the NBA puts on about 8 to 10 pounds, right, of muscle. So you look at that 210 mark. Would that be better fit? Probably. But again, that's long-term projection. What he can give the Bulls right now is definitely an energy guy off the bench, a guy who can get great in transition, has great hands. He's a confident scorer when he does score, but again, most of his baskets did come off assists, so he's not really creating for himself and getting in those pass lanes. All things that we can definitely use off the bench as a spark plug right away. Now, some of his weaknesses. Let's be clear here on the weaknesses. He's not a good productivity numbers don't do him well. He's low usage already, and the advanced stats don't look good for him. He has a terrible shooting form, so the Bulls would have to work on that if he's going to turn into any type of consistent shooter. And right now, looking at everything that I've seen on him, he doesn't project to be a big time scorer outside of those transition energy baskets. Now, he does have a solid passing, not a great passer at all. It's not somebody that you'd ever want to run any offense through. He's limited on offense, and because he's not a scorer or distributor, I don't really know if I'd see the Bulls taking a leap at him at the 18th pick personally. Again, there's so many other players that bring so much better things than what the Bulls can use right now. But like I said, most of his best things come in the fast break. And even though he has some size and some length, he's not an amazing rebounder at all. He doesn't his rebounding percentage numbers don't look the best. Now, again, he wasn't asked to do a lot, but again, he really just does project to be an energy guy as of right now. Now, again, like I said, 19 years old, you can never put a full cap on somebody at 19 years old. If the Bulls were to select him, he may be somebody they have to bring along. But the question is, are they going to bring, not can they, but are they going to invest in somebody that they have to try to bring out so much of their potential and doesn't have a go-to one thing for them right now? That's my thoughts on Kendall Brown. Let me know down below what you guys think of him after seeing some of these highlights, things like that. Would you like the Bulls to select him? I want to hear from you guys. You guys have really sounded off on most of these draft prospects, so I want to continue to hear from you guys on that one. The next player that we're going to be talking about is Walker Kessler. Now, let me be clear here. A 7'1" center. He'll be 21 years old by the time the season starts. 255 pounds. That is legit NBA size right now. His comps are Miles Turner / Cole Aldridge, which the Miles Turner one, I don't know if I see him getting to that level of what Miles Turner can do offensively, but let's talk about the things that Walker Kessler does well. First of all, elite shot blocker, averaging over 4 blocks per game. Now, while everything does not translate the same from the college game to the NBA game, listen, if you can average 4 blocks per game in college, you're projected to be a pretty good shot blocker on the NBA level. Let's be clear there. Great shot blocker, solid, both defensive and offensive rebounder, which are both things that we can use right now. We need shot blocking, we need rim protection, and we need offensive and defensive rebounding. He can bring that very well. He has pretty solid feet for moving at his level. He moves pretty well. In the paint specifically, you don't want to put him in positions where he's going to get exposed on pick and roll defense. But pick and roll offense, let me be clear, this guy is an elite pick and roll offensive player. And looking at what Lonzo was able to do in the pick and roll with Derrick Jones Jr., looking at what Ayo was able to do in the pick and roll at times with Nikola Vucevic, if Walker Kessler is the pick for the Chicago Bulls, not only does he bring defense, shot blocking, and rebounding right away, also that pick and roll and that good finishing around the rim with dunks, putbacks, things like that. Because he's such a good offensive rebounder, he's going to be very good at putting those back up for buckets. It's not going to be some of that Tony Bradley things when he can get the offensive rebound and then in the process of trying to put the ball back up to score a basket, somehow it turns into a turnover. You're not going to have to worry about that with Walker Kessler. He's going to be able to come in right away, give you good pick and roll offense. Again, he's going to need a point guard to set him up. But and that shot blocking, that defensive and offensive rebounding, those things are going to be things that Walker Kessler can bring right away for the Chicago Bulls if he's going to be the pick here. Now, also, while he can step out on the pick and roll, but that stepping down on the guard a little bit is going to be some things for him. But his sheer size in the paint as well, he's able to use that size very well on the defensive end for him. Now, one of the things that, as I said, some of the weaknesses for him, if he ever gets switched on guards, it's barbecue chicken. It's going to be bad because he doesn't have the foot speed or the lateral quickness to kind of recover in situations like that. And I've already seen Nikola Vucevic really fail in those pick and roll situations. Now, again, Lonzo being out there with him, Alex Caruso, maybe they can work that out. But those are some of the things that can be liabilities for him. Also, dribbling the basketball. He's not a good dribbler, people. Walker Kessler is not a very good dribbler. That's why if you do use him and how you use him on the offensive end is really going to be determined with the passer and the point guards that are out there with him. Now, as we know, we have a lot of good passers on this team. DeMar, Zach has stepped up as a passer at times. Lonzo Ball, what he does passing. We've seen Patrick Williams flash some playmaking ability as well when they have gone to him. Now, it hasn't been against the best competition, but is he going to be out there with enough good passing to really maximize what he can do offensively, like I said, specifically in that pick and roll? But Walker Kessler is going to be somebody who may not necessarily run offensive plays outside of a pick and roll for, but can still probably get you 6 to 8 points on putbacks and things like that alone. So there's definitely a possibility for him there. Now, some of the other issues with him, he's a 61% free throw shooter. That's not good. That's not terrible either. Let's be clear, it's not terrible, but it's not good. So hopefully he can get that up. So, that's going to be some of the questions for him. Switching on guards out on the perimeter, not being very mobile as a center, getting exposed in those things. But Walker Kessler brings at least an elite skill set level when it comes to that shot blocking and that defensive rebounding and offensive rebounding and the ability to hit putbacks and pick and roll offense. Those are all great things and things that you can build on top of, especially as somebody who you're not projecting to be a starter. You're projecting to come in and fill a role. So if Walker Kessler was the pick at 18, would I be mad at it? No. But I do think out of the two players that we've covered on today's episode, there's so many other players that I think can give the Bulls so much more other than these two. That's why I'm kind of covering them when I am. But I want to hear from you guys. You guys have been bringing up Walker Kessler. What do you think about him if he was the suggestion for the Chicago Bulls? After hearing me talk about him, has it changed any of your thoughts on him? Let me know. Sound off down below. But that's it for Chicago Bulls Central today. Make sure you're following the podcast at Bulls Central Pod. You can also send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, bullscentralpod@gmail.com. Lastly, tomorrow's episode, Saturday episode, is always the mailbag episode. So if you want to get your thoughts in on any of the prospects we covered, any prospects you would like to see us covered, or if you just want to talk about free agency, anything, get those thoughts and ideas in 773-270-2799. Thank you for tuning in. Like I like to end every episode on, go Bulls. Love you guys. Peace, y'all.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.